Okay, Max, last week when we were working on our first nonfiction article, I was showing you how to do a strategy where you took different colored highlighters and you would read the article all the way through and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I completely understand, or 1 being I don't understand this at all, and 10 being I've got this, I understand every bit of it. And you read the article all the way through, and the first time through you rated yourself a 9, highlighting just a couple of things you didn't understand. And then you read the article again, and you gave yourself a 10, stating that you really had understanding. And then you read it the third time, and of course you gave yourself a 10 again. So the article was about sculpting, and you had told me you were interested in sculpting. Also during our conversation, we talked about some things that kind of came up, and one was about why teenagers' skin breaks out. So this week I pulled a nonfiction article that was a little more difficult to understand, that some of the words, maybe the vocabulary words, were hard to interpret or understand just based on reading the information, that you may have to dig a little deeper to understand the meaning. And we have been working on vocabulary skills also when we're reading. So again, I wanted to reiterate to you that the article we went over last week was just to teach you that strategy on how to close read, how to keep continually reread and reread something to understand it. I want you to do the same this week also, and then we're going to carry it a step further by working on some of those strategies of finding out unknown meaning to vocabulary words. You've got to be kidding me. Okay, sorry about that. Got the baby the first time, and okay. So, I want you to go ahead and read that article about what is acne, what causes acne, and how to get rid of it. And I want you to go through it. I want you to highlight anything you don't understand, okay? Because the second time you go through it, you're going to close read. But you've already been looking at the question, and this is another excellent strategy, is to read the questions before, if there are questions available, like a test or an assignment, to go and read the questions first, all right? And then it will kind of guide you as to what you're looking for in the article, all right? A lot of times on your test in school, you can turn the pages and read the questions first before you have to read the information to find it. Did you have any questions about the questions themselves, what I wrote? No? Okay. So if you want to go ahead and read. Max, I realize you've read this article. This is the second time you've read it. And that's great. So if you had to rate yourself the first time, what would you rate yourself for understanding on a scale of 1 to 10? Was there quite a bit in here you didn't understand?
It's a big 10.
You really understand everything in the article that you've read all the way through. So so you really feel like you've got a grasp of it right away, everything. Okay, well that's good. That's good. So you feel really confident that you can answer all these questions. Okay, all right, that's good. Now, what I would tell you is we are going to go back and we're going to read this through. We're going to answer the questions, okay? But what I want to do next is also take this piece of nonfiction and look at it a little further, okay? Because I'm going to go back and close read this with you, because even though I think it's great that you feel like you really understand it, I think there's some terms in this text that it doesn't really jump right out at you what it means, and we may have to use the laptop, or we may have to look up certain words. We talked about last week looking on your phone, or using some different strategies, looking up on the internet, the good old dictionary on how to figure out what those words mean. So we're going to go back to that, but before we do, I want to remind you of the Cornell method of note-taking, and I've been encouraging you to use this in class by simply folding your paper over. Remember, I told you if it was in a notebook, you could do it this way. It would work just the same, and you would have your list of words here with the definition. You can also, if you tear it out, you can have it on this side, all right? And you're going to list your words with the definition. So what I would do is I would pull this article here, and I would start to go through it, all right? So if I saw a word that I wasn't real familiar with, like this one here, I know you said you understood it, which is great. That's great if you understand that. But maybe you possibly have to know this for, say, a health test, right? So you could highlight pustules, okay, and there's your definition. And then you could come over here when you're taking notes, or it's in your book, and you could write the word pustules, and then you're going to write your definition over here, all right? So when you go back to study, it doesn't matter if it's math, if it's social studies, if it's science, if it is chemistry, whatever, you're going to have an instant set of note cards right here, all right? So you may understand this article. You may see, but for me to ask you in 10 minutes from now what pustules is, you know, even though they define it for you there's a couple other words in and throughout the reading that they actually do not define till after the end. And then this would be something you could use to actually study from. Drew doesn't sound real happy downstairs with John. All right. Right? And you would just put that there. And is like the nightmare recording. Okay, and so there you have the vocabulary word. There you have the
Definition.
the definition. Thank you. All right. So that is. You can also even take the charts and graphs that are here. You could even draw yourself a mini picture and, you know, put some of the terms with the picture too. So, all right. Now, so back to the questions. Now, you said you rated yourself a 10. What causes acne?
Am I supposed to answer it?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember the name of it is. They're not completely sure.
Oh, very good. I do remember reading that in the article, that it said they're not completely sure what causes it, okay? But it says experts believe the primary cause is a rise in androgen levels.
They believe, but they're not sure.
That's right, they believe, but they're not sure. Once again, if I were studying, this may be another great word. I have a feeling my professor's going to have me do this again. Okay. I would put androgen, and then I would come over here and I would write what it is, a type of hormone, that may, exactly what you said, cause acne, because they're not sure. All right, a rise in that hormone. Okay, so again, this is the Cornell method of note taking. All right, you can use it with your textbooks, you can use it with a nonfiction article, you can back it up if you're studying and your teacher gives you notes or questions. You can answer the questions, which you will do, and use this to isolate or to single out words. So then in 2 weeks, when you're getting ready for the test, look what you have here. You're not having to go back and redo it. And a lot of times they give you study guides, and that's basically, you have a handwritten study guide. And it's better if you do it yourself and draw your own little anagram, or not anagrams, analogies or symbols that help you remember, you know, when you're taking a test. All right, and then finally, we'll come back to all this tonight, but for the sake of the video camera, which this has been quite interesting video. Of course, that has to go off too. I had that all loaded. The internet is a great resource. There it is. And one activity we're going to look at tonight is I want to teach you how